Oh my God, guys, he responded. The Completionist has responded to the open-end charity scam allegations. Oh my goodness, we have to watch it.
Over the past few weeks,
I can't believe it.
allegations have been made against me, my family, and our charitable organization, the Open Hand Foundation,
Yeah.
concerning charity fraud and more. I'm here today to provide clarity and transparency to set the record straight. I
Okay.
want to make it 100% clear. At no point in the Foundation's history was there any criminal or financial fraud. None. I also want to touch on why I've been quiet for
Debatable.
these last few weeks. A lot of folks have been saying that if I didn't do anything wrong, that I should have said something sooner, or that my conversation with the accusers was considered my full side of the story. But when there is allegation after
You shouldn't have
allegation
spoken to
being
them.
made, it takes a long time to gather the evidence and facts to refute claims. This will be my only video response on this matter. I can confirm that as of Wednesday, November 29th, 2023, the Open Hand Foundation has
2 weeks
donated
ago.
$600,000 to the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration.
Well, that's really
However,
good, but it's like, okay, why did it take these allegations for you to do that? I don't understand. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I mean, there's a few things I could think of. He was getting interest off of that money in the bank. Or not he, they were somehow, maybe they didn't report every drop of that money. And they just reported some of it. And they were making it look like, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't understand.
it did take too long to get to this moment, and for that,
10
I am
years?
sorry. The money is now in good hands to make a lasting impact. For more information on the donation, there will be a link down below that you can check out. Now, to further provide context on the Open
Okay.
Hand Foundation, my mother got sick when I was young. She was diagnosed with frontotemporal degeneration, a form of dementia that far
Okay.
too often goes undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. I was 10 years old when signs of her dementia started showing up.
It's
She was
terrible.
officially diagnosed with FTD 4 years later when I was 14, and she died when I was 25. My mom's battle with this disease
I
lasted
didn't know
nearly
it would take that
15
long.
years. And after experiencing the struggles and hardships of caring for someone with dementia,
Nobody is like debating that. Like we get it. That's why people donated. You know, it's important. So for 15 years she was battling this. Imagine. Okay, it took them 10 years to donate any money. What if they had found some kind of solution in those 10 years versus them just holding the money in their bank account? Do you ever think of that? Maybe it would have actually helped other
we
people
decided
for
to start
real.
a foundation in her honor. Before this, my family had been donating money as well as spending time with
15
my
years
mother,
is a long time to
academics,
find
and
something,
doctors
maybe a
to
cure
help them
or a
with their own
help.
understanding of FTD.
Oh,
My father runs an annual golf tournament, and this golf event hasn't always contained a
yes.
charitable component, but has always been in dedication to my mother to bring awareness to FTD. I would often be present at these events, but beyond giving an occasional speech, I was not and still am not involved in any of the event planning. In 2018,
Okay.
I took two things I'm passionate about, indie games and charity work, and started IndieLand to highlight the indie game community and raise money in honor of my mom for a good cause. During several recent IndieLand events, press interviews, and podcasts, I went on record saying where the money was going to and that
Yes,
the
you
Open Hand
did.
Foundation had worked with various
That's the issue.
organizations. At different points, the foundation had been in communication with or considered several of them.
Screw the communication. Nobody cares. It's the money.
But it was not appropriate for me to make such statements when final actions had not yet been taken. The Open Hand Foundation's goal was to make a large impact by donating the money to the right place.
Well, you didn't say you had pledged the money either, which is, it's still a cop out, but at least it's accurate. You said you had donated.
A lot of the conversations that were had with various organizations involved the funds not being restricted or came with extremely high administrative costs. Look,
Okay.
any way you say this, action needed to be taken. And to that point, I'm sorry. I'm disappointed that I was not more straightforward regarding the foundation's timeline for making donations and that I made statements potentially
I think if I was told that it would be 10 years till my money got donated, I would think that's really freaking stupid too. What? Honest about the timeline. I don't care. In fact, if you had said 10 years, I would have taken. That's just so stupid.
Essentially implying donations were made when they had
Or
not
even
yet
5
been.
years.
It took too long for
Or
clear
even 2
action to
years.
occur.
It does not take time to donate money. I don't care. I would say a month to figure out the amount and to get it donated and to get your receipt, your acknowledgement, and then to let everyone know the acknowledgement is here. A month. If it's past a month, I'm questioning. So timeline,
And I
okay,
apologize
cool.
for all of this.
Good for you.
But such inaction was not done for any selfish or malicious reasons.
I don't believe you.
I want to take this opportunity to apologize to any developers.
I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of nice people who want to give these people the benefit of the doubt, but I don't. And I'm happy he donated, but it's like the only reason he donated was because he was being called out. And at that point, it's already done. I already don't trust somebody who does that. It's not like they didn't realize. I mean, common sense, come on. I don't know.
Content creators and special guests who were involved with the various events.
For real, you got everyone involved.
This year's IndieLand sponsor. Their
I'm
team
so
was
mad.
incredibly
Sorry.
supportive and were a great partner to work with. Most importantly, I want to apologize to anyone who ever donated over the years who felt they were wronged or led astray by any of this. Dementia is an incredibly important cause to me and my family and so many of you at home. Advocating for more awareness has been such an important part of keeping my mother's memory alive. As the Open Hand Foundation board is currently
a few jump cuts, not too many.
It's time to step away from my role as a board member. I am no longer a part of the Open Hand Foundation. For the foreseeable future...
Honestly, I just think the whole thing shouldn't be opened. Open Hand Foundation should close. Because they're all responsible. It's not just him, just because he's the face of it.
The event continue. IndieLand will solely be focused on highlighting indie games. There will be no charity component. I love helping the indie game community and working with developers. And if there are developers out there that want me to play their games, I would be honored to continue to do so.
Okay, cool, that's fine. I would now
like to take a deeper look and respond to some of the many accusations made. Much of this is going to be dry and complicated because we're dealing with business finances, tax-exempt nonprofits, the IRS, and legal issues. But serious allegations need a serious and thorough response. I will also have included links to official government websites, reliable third-party sources, and copies of relevant Open Hand Foundation documentation related to all these topics in the description down below. Okay. Let's start with the Open Hand Foundation's formation. When my mother passed away in 2013, we donated her brain and spinal cord to the same academics and doctors we worked with to further advance their research.
That's
There's
amazing.
A link in the description to her autopsy
That's really
report
good. Really
confirms her brain and spinal cord were both donated to science.
Okay.
This was an extremely personal decision for us. Because of my family's history, we had considered all legacy efforts that we had personally made to be a part of the Open Hand Foundation's history, which ultimately led to its creation.
Now here's another glaring problem. If you go back to any of their filings, for instance, this is from 2016, you can see that when they checked their organizations, they called themselves a Section 501c3 exempt private foundation. Okay. The problem with this is, according to the IRS, they actually have two designations, private foundations and public charities. Generally, organizations that are classified as public charities have an active program of fundraising and receive contributions from many sources, including the general public.
In 2014, the Open Hand Foundation was originally registered as a 501c3 private foundation, which under the law is a nonprofit corporation formed to carry out charitable, religious, literary, educational, or scientific purposes that is recognized as tax exempt. When the foundation realized the limitations placed on the private foundations themselves, they sought out advice of legal and financial counsel and took action to switch to a public charity. In February of 2016, they filed to terminate the foundation's private status. For more information on the difference between private foundations and public charities, and on private foundations terminating their own statuses, I have provided links to the IRS website down below. In March of 2016, the IRS acknowledged the receipt for termination of private status and indicated to the Open Hand Foundation the necessary requirements the foundation must follow in order to comply with the IRS code. A copy of those notices are also down below with supporting IRS documentation. Further, based on the acknowledgement of the private status termination, the foundation was now required to operate like a public charity as described in the IRS code for a period of 60 months. However, the foundation was also instructed to continue to file as if it were a private foundation. Any possible issues pertaining to such filings can only be considered clerical errors and are in no way intended to be misleading, fraudulent, or criminal in any nature. Since that time, the Open Hand Foundation has been compliant in operating as a public charity, and as such, the status is directly reflected on the IRS's own website. I'll link to you where you can search for yourself to see the foundation currently has a public charity status.
Many crimes, especially fraud, go undetected, and unless you do something especially egregious on your filings, nothing will be flagged to the IRS. In saying that, however, these filings don't seem to be done properly, and they aren't even signed, which is definitely a legal requirement.
In April 2016, after receiving confirmation of the foundation's termination of private status, the IRS had completed a randomized audit on the 2014 tax return and continued to allow the foundation to operate tax exempt, as it found nothing wrong with the foundation's filings.
2014.
The foundation files
that's a long time
all their
ago.
Taxes electronically, which does not require a physical signature on the actual forms. Only e-file authorization forms that are sent from a certified public accountant for electronic signature. Not only is this legal, but it is the industry standard for filing taxes here in the United States.
Okay, but we don't care about that. We don't care about that. That's not the issue. Who cares about a signature? Why are you even talking about this? You've spent a long time explaining this.
On to donations.
It's a short video.
There are generally two types of donations: unrestricted and restricted donations.
Okay.
Most donations are unrestricted in nature. By being unrestricted, donations can go to anything: research, administrative costs, travel expenses, salaries, or bonuses. Doesn't matter. Unrestricted donations come in the form of a donate link on a website, maybe a Twitch stream, or even a telethon. The Open Hand Foundation raised funds in an unrestricted manner with the intention to restrict a larger donation towards dementia research.
Okay. So
larger restricted donations ensure clear measures and direction, but can take time, whereas unrestricted donations are often instantaneous and not tracked. This is one of the big reasons as to why the donation took so long.
Many years, honestly. I just think they focused on getting money and not doing anything else. That's what I think.
To make the impact that would allow the funds to be restricted and avoid those high admin costs.
Okay, but in 10 years, you could have done something. It would have been more than this. You know? You would have had more of an impact with administrative costs. Even. Like, what?
Now let me walk you through the finances.
Oh,
revenue sources
if I'm wrong, you can tell me.
Include direct and indirect public support, the golf fundraiser revenue, and Indieland revenue. The foundation's expenses include costs for the golf fundraiser and Indieland, operational costs, and various fees, totaling for $178,951.17 worth of expenses over the last 9 years.
Yes, but the cash amount that you had on your document was over 600,000. I think it was 650, and that was at the end of the year. Correct? Am I wrong? So that would mean you had already spent that stuff. Correct? I'm asking y'all. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Again,
also factually inaccurate that all the money the foundation received in 2023 is unaccounted for. For starters, the
What's still 2023
Indieland raised just over $64,315.95. After platform and processing fees, we received $61,303.33 from
Okay.
PayPal and Tiltify's credit card processor Stripe. Adding the $15,000 sponsorship donation to the initial estimate income for IndieLand 2023 equates to $76,303.33. This does not
How is he remembering these numbers? Is he reading this?
include
Just
merchandise,
wondering.
bits, or subscriptions from Twitch. However, there were real production costs when it
Okay.
comes to running this event. We paid for flights, hotels, appearance fees, supplies, food and catering, costs of good for merchandise, etc. All of that totaled just under $12,000.
Okay.
This is still an outstanding invoice, as not everything has been received or paid yet. Income from Twitch subscriptions and bits, along with merchandise, have offset some of the production costs.
Of
So to
course.
say the money is missing is simply wrong. Also, to be clear,
Did they say it was missing? I'm asking y'all because I've only gone over what we've watched on the channel, you know. They said it was missing. Well, it's still 2023. They haven't accounted for everything, right?
IndieLand does not make money on YouTube. We typically stream only on Twitch. And when we did simulcast to YouTube, we made little to no money. Next, let's talk about the golf tournament.
And the interesting thing about the money the golf tournament raises is that it seems to disappear. Fans of the Completionist who rushed out to defend him tried to claim that because Gerard hadn't spent the money, it wasn't stolen. From 2014 to 2017, filings showed the Open Hand Foundation received between $30,000 to $60,000 per event. This is likely underreported.
In 2019, the foundation reported $123,816 in revenue, but the accusers alleged that $14,000 is unaccounted for. Our books do reconcile, and these accusations are the result of bad math and missing information. The 2019 IndieLand's net proceeds were $82,409.19, and when combined with $31,371.55 in revenue from the golf tournament and $10,000 from a direct supporter, it adds up to $123,780.74. To insinuate that there are further issues with 2020 and 2021 tax returns, people forget that there was a pandemic that shut the world down. The golf events are generally scheduled in the springtime when the weather is good for outdoor events. However, when the foundation had to delay the event, the only available dates weren't until November of 2021. Not only did the foundation take donations and sponsorships that had already been paid for 2020 and roll them towards 2021, but not everyone was comfortable being in public with bigger groups of people. So participation was drastically down, especially since the pandemic brought on a recession. Finally, pledges and donations are not always collected at the same time of the event. It might take a few months to receive the funds, often rolling them into the following year's income. As for what the costs are to run an event like this, there are event organizers, venue expenses, crafts and catering, event dinners, support staff, production equipment,
I get that.
rentals, event branded merchandise, security, insurance, and more.
Again, this is not my biggest concern. This is not my biggest concern. And they had expenses on their tax documents. What's the big deal? I don't get it. Why does he keep talking about this?
Smaller events have smaller costs, and as the foundation scale the events, the expenses increase proportionally. There's talk of $125,000 being embezzled for unknown admin purposes. As previously mentioned, we went from a private to public charity, and under both nonprofit structures, we're legally obligated to spend money on expenses. With that said, it is perfectly legal to hold donations, and in fact is not uncommon for organizations to hold their funds.
I'm a computer scientist, so I
don't like that. That makes me dislike him and the organization more. I don't want to hear if it was legal or not. I don't want to hear that because a lot of giant companies say that even though they're doing horribly screwed up things. Well, it was legal. That makes me angry.
really urge urge anybody
I'm
that
angry
has
at this video.
background in tax accounting for charitable organizations, or hell, if the IRS is watching this, one of the things that Carl brought up to me very recently was the 5% rule, which again, this is a very complicated rule, but the idea is the US government expects foundations to use their assets to benefit society, and they enforce it through Section 4942 of the Internal Revenue Code, which requires private foundations to distribute 5% of the market value, the fair market value of their endowment, each year for charitable purposes.
So I guess Gerard's argument is that since it's now a public foundation, but wait, it said only for 5 years from 2014 you need to file as a private foundation, right? So what about after 2019?
So again, I want to see how this rule is done, because according to the filings we've seen, they haven't actually given any money. They've spent money in operating expenses, but again, we need to actually see if they're giving their money to a charitable organization.
Referencing that same rule mentioned in this claim, the foundation is actually not legally required to distribute a minimum of 5% a year in charitable donations because, once again, the Open Hand Foundation is a public charity. This means that the $600,000 that was donated did not incur any fees or is not subject to any tax penalties.
Then why wouldn't you donate it? This is the question. It's not the question of whether you were legally supposed to. And even just mentioning that makes it sound so gross. Oh, we weren't legally supposed to donate. What? You're calling yourself a charity.
To insinuate that the money was missing,
I hate this.
that the penalties were to be applied, and that my family or myself had to float the missing funds is just not true. Also, none
Then
of the
why
money
did
from
you
the
do
Open Hand
it?
Foundation has ever funded any of my projects for my company. I want to stress.
I disagree. I actually disagree because it gave him content to create. It gave him a good image. It gave him news stories, probably. It gave him notoriety within the community. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it actually does benefit you. It looks really good when you're, live all the time talking about your charity, and, apparently you gave lots of interviews on it. It's like, yeah, actually, I think it did benefit you. Maybe not direct, but yeah, indirectly, it absolutely did.
Not a dollar raised from Indieland and its supporters was ever used on anything to personally benefit me, my family, or any of our companies.
Directly.
We never touched this money nor ever moved it. As
Why?
evidence in the public documents, no one at the foundation has ever drawn a salary. Saying that we are fraudsters.
Why
that what we are
did you
doing
take
is
the money in the
illegal
first place
and
then?
Constitutes charity fraud. That
It does.
we are using my dead mother's name to potentially embezzle money and steal is
Well-
categorically false. I should have been more transparent about the money not being donated, and that's on me. But
So why didn't you donate it? I want that answer. I don't care about a signature. I don't care about if it was legal or not. I want to know why you didn't donate it, because when people donate money to you, they're assuming that it's going to this charity or to these charities that you're claiming, and you name directly, by the way.
family and I have not done anything illegal. Not before then.
I disagree.
And not since. And as mentioned previously, we have correspondence from the
If it wasn't illegal and you don't think you did anything wrong and you think nothing is a problem, then why did you donate it after somebody called you out? Why? Why didn't you just keep it like it was and say, we didn't do anything wrong? You know what I'm saying? You should have just ignored the backlash or come up with a statement like, we're not doing anything wrong, so we're going to keep it this way. You know what I'm saying? You can't just like rush out and donate and then claim like you did nothing wrong, because that makes it look like you were trying to make up for something.
IRS to prove that. Furthermore, my family and I are in serious conversations with our legal teams regarding next steps, as the allegations that have been made with complete disregard for the truth of the matter. These
That's
allegations
bull.
were made by individuals who self-admittedly aren't even financial or legal professionals.
If that's true, then why did you donate? Why did you rush out and donate the money? That's what I keep thinking. Like, you did nothing wrong, say you did nothing wrong and move on.
These allegations are slanderous.
You can't say
we're done with selfish intent.
that they were so horrible, but you also did what they said you should do.
Me, my staff, and my family, and that is not okay.
The safety.
I want to
safety. Gosh. Questioning a charity is now threatening safety, guys. I don't see how this threatens anyone's safety. The documents they used were public, weren't they? They didn't steal them. They were public. And this is a company. This is not... Well, this is a company. I don't know if it counts as putting people in, in danger if you put, public documents online. It's the same thing.
Reiterate and
in my opinion,
address that both the foundation and I have been accused of forgery, embezzlement, and charity fraud. The allegations imply the foundation forged tax returns because they weren't physical signatures on them when we e-filed them, or that we altered numbers to hide income or expenses.
Okay, but like this is all legal. These are all legal declarations or statements. If it's not true, it's not true, and you won't be in trouble. What's the big deal? You know? Like, what do you think is going to happen if you did nothing wrong?
We can account for every single
you
dollar
won't be in trouble.
And spent in the last 9 years. We do not have anything to hide. And due to the overwhelming amount of people who have been instructed to file complaints to the IRS and Department of Justice, we understand an audit may be coming, and we welcome it.
Great. So what's the problem? You shouldn't be afraid of things like this if you didn't do anything.
Legal financial teams have assured us that we have done nothing criminally wrong or illegal. Any possible issues
you mean the people you paid
can only be described as clerical errors and are easily amendable. Content creators and influencers should be held accountable when faced with serious allegations. However, the narrative can get taken so far away from the truth that the court of public opinion supersedes fact. I recognize and take accountability for all of my actions. At the same time, I am not going to let my reputation be compromised by allegations that are not true.
Oh, it already is, I bet.
I own up to my part in this, but I will not be painted as someone who is a con artist and embezzler. I won't be someone whose name gets tarnished without putting up a fight. I owe it to my friends, my family, and myself to stand up to this situation right now.
That was it?
I want to leave you all with how the Open Hand Foundation got its name. My mom always had this saying that she and my dad would share with each other. An open hand is always full, meaning the more you give, the more you will receive. This has been imbued in my entire life. And
I'm not laughing at the situation with his mom. I think that it's very sad. I'm laughing because it's so uncomfortable. I don't think that this was an honest mistake. I really don't. He didn't explain why they kept the money in the account. That is the main concern everyone had. Why do y'all still have control over this money? That's it. And like, of course we're saying maybe he could have taken the money and run and all, but we don't know that. We don't really know. But what we do know is that the money was not being donated and it was weird. And that is the biggest concern.
And if you followed my journey,
I feel like
you would know that's all I ever tried to do for
went
my
around
friends,
that.
my family, and my community. All I ever wanted to do was to share my legacy and give. Thank you all for listening.
But you didn't give. That's the problem.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I got so heated at this video. If there's something you want to tell me that I was confused about or that I didn't understand correctly, you can always tell me in the comments. That's fine. Because I would like to learn more about it if there's anything I missed. And I don't think it's correct to threaten legally or threaten defamation for people. Like, really? If it was defamation, why did you rush to donate the money? And people throw around the word defamation too much these days. If someone says that, I'm already like, okay, I don't know if I believe you. There's just a lot of things that I feel like weren't addressed. And I think it was a scam. I do. That's my stance. That's it. Yeah. I'll leave this video in the description. They have a lot of links in their description that you can check out if you want. I know that what channel is it? Some Ordinary Gamers. I know that they were the ones who were kind of accusing him, and I believe they're the ones that interviewed him. That's the interview he was talking about. They responded, so I might go watch that video because I really want to see what they have to say too. But yeah, I will see y'all in that video or whatever comes next.